Today I want to talk about how silver and gold are behaving badly. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Empire Precious Metals. Stormy here. Today I wanted to talk to you about silver and gold, specifically the fact that these metals are behaving in a way that we Thank God for capsules. These are all intact. That was a scare. Now, before I talk to you about silver and gold and whether or not you should be buying, selling, or holding right now, I do want to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that are affecting the silver and gold prices, so that way it makes a little bit more sense for each and every one of you that are watching this video. Yesterday, we saw Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, make the announcement that they are going to increase interest rates by 75 basis points. Now, this marks the second increase of the interest rates by 75 basis points. Just last month, they did this as well. When interest rates increase, that strengthens the United States dollar, and typically what happens is metals get weaker. However, last month, when the interest rates were increased by 75 basis points, we did see metals drop down in spot price. However, yesterday, when the Federal Reserve increased the interest rate, we saw that silver and gold actually went up in spot price, and today they still continue to climb. Now, again, this is not typically the norm, okay? We normally see that the interest rates, when they go up, we see that the dollar gets stronger and the value of metals get weaker. Now, the other thing we saw is that Western countries decided to ban Russian imports on gold. Now, the one thing to take away here, that isn't going to make a huge significant impact on the supply of gold. In fact, it turns out that Russia really only produces about 10% of the world's gold production. But then just a couple of days after, right around the same time, we saw this announcement that Uganda came across $12 trillion worth of gold. So that is a significant amount of gold that is going to be available for the global supply. Essentially, you could talk about one canceling out the other when it comes to the global supply of gold. Now, there's this interesting article that I found that's talking about the effect of rate hikes on gold. And I'm just going to skip through quite a bit of this to kind of spare you guys. When you scroll down, though, let's take a look right here. What drives gold prices? Ultimately, it's not a function of interest rates. Like most basic commodities, it's a function of supply and demand in the long run. Very interesting. So given the historical tendencies of the actual reactions of stock market prices and gold prices to interest rate increases, the likelihood is greater that stock prices will negatively be impacted by rising interest rates, and that gold may be a benefit as an alternative investment to equities. So while rising interest rates may increase the US dollar, pushing gold prices lower because gold is denominated in US dollars, factors such as equity prices and volatility coupled with general supply and demand are the real drivers of the price of gold. Let's take a look at the gold prices here. The historical gold prices, I dated this for 30 years back. This is on macro trends. You can kind of go through this data yourself and adjust it however you see fit. But what I did was I chose the 30-year window, and I decided to show the recessions, which are marked here in these gray columns. And what you basically are seeing right now, this is the historical data for gold. We're seeing that gold is kind of just treading along here. Nothing's happening. We see this little recession here. Nothing is happening for gold. And then we see a little bit of a breakout, okay, over these next handful of years. Then during a recession, we see gold does take a major dip right here in the midst of the, in the depths of the recession. But then towards the end of the recession, we see that gold just takes off like a banshee. Check that out. Going all the way up to, what do we got here? Around $1,825, okay? Then we do see over time, gold starts to drop down. And then again, here we are in the recession that occurred during the pandemic. This is a very small and brief one. We see that really nothing is happening here. Gold wasn't really affected. Just over the long term, the general trend is we see that gold, like any other investment that you see like the stock markets or whatever, we see that gold is trending upwards. Now let's take a look at the silver prices. Similar, but however, gold has maintained its strength, okay? Gold is still kind of trading in the higher ranges than that it typically was. Silver, though, Let's take a look at silver. Silver is just kind of flatlined, okay? Here we see it's going along and then it starts to increase. And then we see the recession. It dips all the way down in the depths of the recession, just like gold did. And then we see this massive breakout, okay? Silver just skyrocketed up to around $48 in 2011. And then over time, we see this major decline. The silver spot price has increased, and here we are. It's dropped significantly. Now we're in the teens. We haven't seen the teens in a very long time when it comes to the silver spot prices. And then when we look at the stock market, similar growth trajectory. We see the stock market, it drops here in this recession, then it drops down here, and then over time we see this massive bull run. The brief drop here during the pandemic, and then we kind of come out of the pandemic more or less, and we just skyrocket all the way up to around 37,000, and now we've seen things starting to cool off a little bit. So what we're seeing is actually gold and silver is kind of following the stock market, but it seems to be that the metals pull ahead of the stock market when coming out of a recession. So a lot of people within the stacking community are constantly saying that silver and gold are amazing hedges against inflation. Now, in a typical year, when we see that inflation stays between 1% and 3%, usually around 2%, yes, it tends to be a good hedge against inflation. But in times like these, where we're seeing hyperinflation, we're at 9.1%, it's not really acting like a good hedge against inflation. We're seeing that silver and gold are just basically getting beat down by different market factors and things that are happening around the world. So what should you be doing? Should you be buying silver, buying gold? Should you be selling silver and gold? Should you be holding silver and gold and not buying anything? In my opinion, I think you should be buying both. I think that, again, silver and gold, it's a long-term play. It's like a long-term savings account that you're putting aside for yourself, and it's not putting all of your eggs in one basket. You're not putting all of your money into stocks, into bonds, into real estate. It's something that you should be buying a little bit every single month. And now keep in mind that gold is a lot more stable. Silver fluctuates a lot more. You have to have a stomach for it. Don't look at the silver spot prices every single day like a stock. Okay, this is going to fluctuate consistently. And you also have to keep in mind, you might be buying silver for 20 years and find yourself 20 years from now actually owning silver that is worth less than you originally paid for. I want you to keep that in mind. That is very significant. There's a lot of people that have been buying silver and gold for a long period of time. And silver specifically, not so much gold, because gold is still pretty high, but silver has been up and down across the board. And some people who are buying silver 10, 15 years ago, especially in that high, $48, $45, people were buying during that time for fear of missing out. And now here we are down in the teens. We didn't think that we would be here. A lot of experts thought that we were going to be going to triple digit silver, and here we are below $20 silver. So it's a good opportunity for those of you that are looking to get in. It's a good opportunity to be buying. This is a great entry point, but keep in mind that this stuff is very volatile. And I will be making a video talking about different types of silver that I think you should be buying that maintains its value better. So you're going to definitely want to tune in for that. But what do you think about silver and gold's behavior? Is it acting in a bizarre fashion, or do you think that it's actually behaving as it should? Comment down below. Silver and gold, are you buying, selling, or holding? And I would like to quickly thank these elite channel supporters. And if you haven't already become a channel member, please check out the awesome perks and join today. With that, this is Empire Precious Metals. Until next time, long live the Empire.